Retirement planning should be more than just talking about investments. You want the confidence to enjoy this special time of your life. If you want more from retirement, you've come to the right place. This is the Marc Osler Retirement Experience, the financial pathway to more.
Welcome back to the Marc Osler Retirement Experience. Online, you can find us at moreToRetire.com. If it's time to talk about your retirement, well, who's helping you with all of this? You think you can do this yourself? You know, when you get up against taxes and estate planning and picking out things for Medicare and Advantage plans and supplemental, boy, it gets complicated. So why not go through it with somebody who goes through it every single day? Somebody can help you through this journey. That is Marc Osler, and his phone number is 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. All right. So you financial advisors love your buckets. Every time I look at these articles, I see a bucket here and a bucket there. Well, Tony Robbins, you know him. He's quite the inspiring speaker, and he's written a lot of books about money. And he talks about allocating your retirement money into 3 buckets. He calls them the security bucket, a risk and growth bucket, and a dream bucket. Okay, so is that similar to what you do? Do you use this whole bucket theory? And how would you define the buckets that Tony has here?
Randy, that's good. I'll be honest. Yeah, I do use the bucket theory.
Okay.
Buckets of money. I use buckets even when we're doing, allocations here, bucket there, but there's a lot more than 3 buckets.
Okay. All right.
It's a planning theory for sure, but everybody does it a little differently. Mm-hmm. For me, it's a risk assessment to understand somebody, an income assessment to understand somebody, and then we understand when you're going to retire or are you retired. So I want to assess all this stuff, and then we figure out these buckets. Yes, I am 100% right there with the security bucket. Mm-hmm. That's really important because I had a client, she wanted to do something really nice for her daughters. One's like 30 years old, the other one's like 25 years old, and what she wanted to do was put some money into a couple of annuities for them that in 30 years will have income for them. And it's not really a big growth type of annuity, but it's more for income. And the one daughter, 25 years old, said, so why don't we just be risky with this money? And I said, that's a great question, because everybody tells you should definitely be, more risky when you're younger. I said, yeah. With your 401k money and all that other stuff, go for it. Mm-hmm. But this is your mother's money, and she wanted to do something for you guys nice later in life that was a security. So for this one, this is what she wanted to do. And that was my answer. So in every given situation, there's something different. In this particular case, that's what it was. But I'll say this, security bucket is really important. Some people, their security bucket is, hey, I got enough real estate, I'm in great shape. That's my security bucket. Fine, you know it, you love it, that's great. Risk bucket, well, what kind of risk? It really depends. I think that one of the things that people get misconstrued is, why do you want to see all my investment positions? And I said, well, it's important. What we do is we run a report. And then I can understand the standard deviation of what you're doing. I can look at this thing called a scatter plot, and it tells me the difference between risk and reward. And then we get it. We understand, can we still take the same amount of risk with what you're doing and actually have better returns? So these are all the things that we discuss and talk about. So for me, I just want to make sure I'm given the best answers possible. A dream bucket? Yes. In your 80s? No. But when people get in their 80s, they want to travel and do things less just because they don't feel the same. But when you're younger, yeah. And let's have a dream bucket right now. I think all those are important. And yeah, Tony Robbins, yeah, he's a great speaker. And I think it's funny because these celebrities, and you talk about like Dave Ramsey, and you talk about Tony Robbins, and you talk about Susie Orman, they might come to them for quick questions, but look at it as entertainment because they don't know everything about you. So they can go give you an answer, but it's based on entertainment. Don't take that home as your final answer. Come talk to me sometime. I would love to talk to you about it.
They do have to really paint with very broad brushstrokes, very generically speaking. When we talk about these buckets, I've also heard it defined in buckets like we're going to have a 1 to 10 year bucket. We're going to have a 10 to 20 year bucket or 15 year bucket and a 15 and beyond bucket. And each one of those is going to have a different level of risk. And that 1 to 10 year bucket is just basically CDs and it's money markets and it's annuities. It's very low risk stuff. And then when we're talking money we can use later and we can go through a market downturn and stuff like that, and we have time for that money to recover, that's how we kind of position that. Have you had that mentality and explained it that way at all, Mark?
Yes, I have. I mean, that's a great way to explain it, because we know that for the most part, treasuries are safe and CDs are safe. Just want to be with a good bank. When we do securities, we also look at structured notes because that can give us some safety measures. There are banks out there that are too big to fail, as they say. That's just a term they like to use. And so those are the banks that we'll generally use when we're doing a structured note. There are structured notes out there that have principal protection or ones that are buffered. And I'm not going to explain that over the radio. I'll explain it in person. But it's very clear you could do a lot of different things in safety measures. And fixed index annuities are great because you can build them for safety. You could build them for guarantees. You could build them for maybe if you needed living needs benefits, which is a way of something have an alternative to long-term care insurance. Look, I'm licensed for all this stuff. We could talk about every bit of this planning, and I have no problem addressing all of this stuff. What I want to talk about is, as interest rates lower, there are some things that I might not be able to do for you as well as I can do for you now. And I want you to take advantage of that. I mean, there's a product out there, a fixed index annuity right now. It has a death benefit rider that rolls up at 5%, right? That death benefit rider also has dollar for dollar withdrawal privileges. It ends at 85, but if you're in your 50s, that is a gift upon all gifts. Take advantage of it. Yeah,
we are in a bit of a window of opportunity right now when it comes to interest rates. There are products out there that are interest rate dependent, and we are in a time right now of pretty good interest rates. I know they've been higher, but they're not falling like a rock. They are been pretty steady at around 4% or a little bit more. So this is the time to really look at some of that stuff. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, Mark, is, you'll hear Warren Buffett say something like, if you aren't going to own a stock for 10 years, I don't buy it. You should have a long-term view with your stocks. And then I heard this week Mark Cuban, he's another celebrity, obviously, from Shark Tank, and he said the words buy and hold are for suckers. And so, I mean, that's pretty stern about the market, but he does not believe in buy and hold. If you have a plan where you're saying we're going to plan your retirement 10, 15, 20 years into the future, maybe even longer, that does involve some kind of a buy and hold. But as going into retirement, I don't look at myself as a buy and hold investor. How do we balance those two out?
That's such a great question, too. On our investment platform, under the registered investment advisory firm, Impact Partnership Wealth, they use third-party managed assets through Market Guard. And Market Guard is unique because they're actively managed. So am I going to be the cheapest based on fees? The answer is no. But Market Guard has very low internal expenses compared to others. And that's where you can make it back. In addition to that, you have folks that can move that money around whenever it's needed to be moved around. Mm-hmm. And that's the advantage, because when it's spread around properly and you have the standard deviation you want to be at, are we able to get you more reward? And I believe we are, based on historical facts. So that really matters, Randy. When we talk about these things and we discuss these things, people ask me about investments. They'll come in my office with a 401k at their current employer, and they're not 59 and a half. What can I do with that? Really nothing other than just show it to me. Let me see what they have available to you. And I'll be happy to offer my opinion on a complimentary basis.
Thanks for listening to the Marc Osler Retirement Experience. To schedule a meeting about your retirement and the financial pathway to more, go to moretoretire.com. That's moretoretire.com.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Marc Osler Retirement Experience. Marc Osler Retirement Experience is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Marc Osler Retirement Experience are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risks, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Marc Osler Retirement Experience is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute legal or tax advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein are provided by third parties that have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Marc Osler Retirement Experience. Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations for a wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships.